here. This is Jody's Corner, and this is a Members Choice video. If you're a part of Tier 3 on the memberships, you click the join button down below, and you get to access one video topic for me to react to each week. And this one is about this woman called Lucy Letby. Remember that name, guys, because this woman is the personification of pure evil. This is a story of a woman who was a nurse in a UK hospital, and she has this desire and urge that she couldn't stop for killing premature, newly birthed babies. And this is the story of her getting caught. This is the story of her victims, and this is the story of exactly what happened in the aftermath of her getting caught. As someone who lost their daughter in a hospital, my daughter was 1 month old when she finally passed away. I can't help but just think about that, and it gets me really upset. And yeah, this is the Lucy Letby story. If you guys don't know, we're all gonna learn about it together.
Has noticed a common factor: Lucy Letby. Hospital managers were told and meetings were held, but until the following summer, the nurse was still working on the neonatal unit.
Many words will be used to describe the crimes of Lucy Letby, and there is a question that will also be asked many times. Why would she? Why would a nurse whose job it was to care for babies murder and harm them in the hospital where she worked? There is a reality, I think, that we may never really know the answer to that. I was in court as Lucy Letby gave evidence. She didn't give us an answer. She said all of this was a conspiracy against her, that she did nothing wrong. But there are other questions where I think there will increasingly be a demand for answers, like, how was she able to do this? And should she have been stopped sooner?
This is the morning of Lucy Letby's arrest.
Oh, Lucy, is it?
Yes.
Hello, my name's Chester, please. So, can you step in 2 seconds?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
The smile's gone, and she's in handcuffs a few minutes later.
Not a problem.
Evil, demonic witch right there. I know you're not supposed to hate people, but I have a profound, in the depths of me, a raging fire towards her.
A nurse who murdered babies, Lucy Letby has always denied and never explained.
I'm just going to put you in the back seat over here.
Now guilty of using her job to kill again and again.
Just take a seat in there for me, Lucy. I'll move that seat forward a bit shortly.
Yeah, I've just had knee surgery.
Oh, right, okay.
Lucy Letby was entrusted to protect some of the most vulnerable babies. In her hands, innocuous substances like air, milk, or medication like insulin would become lethal. She perverted her learning and weaponized her craft to inflict harm, grief, and death.
How would you describe the crimes of Lucy Letby?
Horrible, horrific and evil.
We're talking about tiny babies in a setting where they should have been really safe.
That setting was the neonatal unit where Lucy Letby worked. Her victims were the very definition of defenceless.
I said, "Oh my God, what happened?" And the doctor was giving compressions to baby M. I was just praying to God, saying, "What has happened to my child?"
I saw doctors around the trolley, and they're just pumping his heart like a rag doll, really.
Yeah.
The image that I saw was just horrendous. That image I'll never forget because it's on the brain.
So that image is an image that I know too well, seeing a team of doctors swarm into the NICU unit at Cedars-Sinai Medical and putting chest compressions heavily on my daughter. And she was just this small little thing, and her body would jolt. And I'm sitting here watching all this trauma, and I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. So I know exactly what this guy is talking about, how hard they compress on that baby's body, because it's so small that it just gives to the pressure. and the all the tubes and the wires that you see go into this small, fragile little thing. Like, how do you put a they have baby needles, like not regular needles, baby needles, to put it into the veins of a baby. Like, those, the fact that those even exists makes me sad.
Their words have been revoiced because, like all the families in this case, a court order gives these parents anonymity. Their twin boys, known as babies L and M, were just a day old when Lucy Letby tried to kill them. They both survived, but it took almost 30 minutes to restart baby M's heart. Experts say the crash was likely caused by air being injected into his bloodstream. His brother was poisoned with insulin, though their parents weren't told that for 2 years.
Wow.
We didn't know anything even afterwards until the police came knocking.
She was very cool, calm, calculated, and a criminal-minded lady.
Just an evil person. If they'd acted upon the initial suspicions, it would have prevented multiple deaths, really. There's no way she should have been able to get away with it for so long.
This
One
hospital
of those
needs to
raising
be sued,
concerns at the
bro.
hospital
This
was
hospital.
Dr. John Gibbs.
We paediatricians were certainly concerned that someone, and suspicions fell on Lucy Letby, could have been harming and perhaps killing patients on the unit. If they just listened to us hospital paediatricians, I think the police would have been called in a lot earlier.
Before he retired, Dr. Gibbs worked with Lucy Letby. They're next to each other in a fundraising photo from 2015. That same year, suspicions began, when the neonatal death rate doubled and doctors noticed a common factor: Lucy Letby. Hospital managers were told and meetings were held, but until the following summer, the nurse was still working on the neonatal unit.
Why don't you put her somewhere else?
In the summer of 2016, in particular, 2 deaths on consecutive days. What was it like being there?
It was a worrying time because suspicions and concerns had been growing. And then in June 2016, there were several deaths in very quick succession. We were expecting them to go home, and suddenly, one after another, they died. And that really worried us. And at that point, we felt something drastic had to be done to protect the babies on the unit.
But what y'all do, though?
Those events.
Y'all shut her down? Y'all put her somewhere else? No. This hospital still, while she was killing babies, and even though they couldn't prove it, they seen the babies are dying and that she's the one on staff. She's the common denominator. You still didn't remove her from the unit. This hospital is going to get sued into the ground, and I hope that they all freaking go down.
Have been described as a tipping point. The 2 babies who died one day after another were identical triplets. And Dr. Gibbs and the other consultants could find no medical reason for what happened. So after months...
You took triplets out of the world? As beautiful and as rare as that is, triplets? You killed triplets?
Raising their concerns, they now insisted on Lucy Letby's removal from the neonatal unit. She was shifted into an office job in the patient safety department. But 11 more months went by before hospital managers called in the police.
During those months, senior managers repeatedly tried to move Lucy Letby back to the neonatal unit. Dr. Gibbs and the other paediatricians kept refusing and saying police should be involved.
Why did it then take so long for the police to be called in?
Well, I think there was resistance on the senior management side to involving the police, but I don't know quite why, and really the senior managers ought to be asked.
The senior managers need to be charged with negligence. The managers were still trying to put her from the desk job back with the babies, after the people who are actually working on the floor are saying, this chick is killing babies, bro. Don't do it. She's not. We need to call the police. And the fact that you got, this is systemic. This is an evil woman, yes, but this is a systemic issue that's enabling her to even become this, to enact her evil ways out. This is exactly why this freaking hospital needs to be under the ground, bro. Hopefully that's what's going to happen or has already happened.
Why wait to tell police is just one of the serious questions But as of yet, the Countess of Chester Hospital has not given answers. Instead, a video statement was recorded after the verdicts.
After the
We
verdicts.
are extremely sorry that these crimes were committed at our hospital.
Shut up.
Since Lucy Letby worked at our hospital, we have made significant changes to our services. And I want to provide reassurance to every patient that may access our services that they can have confidence in the care that they will receive. Finally, and most importantly, our thoughts are with all the families and loved ones at this very difficult time. Thank you.
Dr. Scott, I have to ask, why did hospital managers try to stop Lucy Letby from being investigated?
Once police were told, their investigation became a multiple murder inquiry. When police arrested Lucy Letby and searched her home, they found hospital records stored in shopping bags under her bed. Some included the names of babies she'd killed. It's thought she kept them as a kind of trophy. On a phone they seized, there were photos of the handwritten message in a card the nurse sent to the family of a baby girl she'd murdered. She signed it, "Lots of love, Lucy."
Oh my gosh.
And in her diary,
You killing their babies and then sending them a card. Oh my gosh, you evil, maniacal, diabolical bitch.
along with dates for salsa dancing classes, there were initials of some of her victims written on the days when they died. Tucked inside was a post-it note filled with words and phrases, including, "I am evil, I did this." There was no confession to police, though.
They told me that there had been a lot more deaths and that I'd been linked to somebody that was there for a lot of them.
Did you have any concerns that there was a rise in the mortality rate?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about that. What concerns did you have?
I think we'd all just noticed as a team in general, the nursing staff, that this was a rise compared to previous years.
After Lucy Letby's long trial, she refused to be in court at the end. The verdicts do, though, give the parents of her victims answers to some of their questions, though not all.
Definitely. A public inquiry. The higher management, they need to be held accountable.
Yes.
The doctors raised their concerns and they didn't act upon them.
Yes.
They dismissed them.
Yes.
It's hard to put into words just
they neglected
how it
them.
could have gone on so long, why it went on so long. We have to wait for the hospital to answer those questions, but it could have been stopped. That's the fact.
Yep.
In a 12-month period, Lucy Letby murdered 7 babies and tried to murder another 6.
Oh my
Some who
gosh.
survived have been left with permanent
Bro.
brain injuries.
Oh, shoot. She murdered 7 babies, tried to kill another 6 and failed. Those 6 babies that are going on to have lives are still affected by it because they just said that some of the 6 have brain damage, bro. And the brain for a child of a newborn is the most. The heart and the brain are the things that I was worried about with me when my daughter was like, she could, if she has brain bleeding, that could lead to like autism, Down syndrome and things like that. So one of the things that we were worried about when we were giving birth, when our daughter was prematurely extracted from her mother, was that I was praying. No brain bleeding. Just make her brain be fine. And she was birthed and she had no brain bleeding. The surgeon said, this is a healthy baby. She's screaming loud. She's strong. And then all of a sudden she gets an infection and dies. Like somebody could have set my baby up and killed her, for all I know. We had a meeting with the hospital and everything. We said, we don't like the treatment being done here. And we were going to try to transport her out of there. And then within 48 hours from that, she was dead. So how does that happen? Black babies especially, they don't survive because nobody values black children. And then we had a black doctor for our next pregnancy and everything went smoothly. Tests were being done as they should have been, precautions. If you educate yourself on how black women are treated with their pregnancies, you'll get disgusted with how few doctors and the medical profession in general care about the well-being and the development and the birth of black babies. if you have a black child, if you're pregnant with a black baby, even if it's a mixed baby with black, I don't care how long you've known your family doctor. I don't care how long you knew or trust this doctor. If your doctor ain't black, leave your doctor now and go get a black doctor, because only a black doctor will take care of your black baby and do everything for him. That's the 100.
Some who survived have been left with permanent brain injuries. We now know police are checking more medical records. More families have been told what happened to their child is being looked into. The question the detective leading the investigation is trying to answer: did Lucy Letby kill or harm more children?
This investigation is ongoing for you, isn't it?
Yes. So, yes, it is. You know, we've got to look at it and think, right, okay, what would be the right thing to do? And that is to investigate all of the time period that Lucy Letby has been employed as a nurse, both at the Countess and whilst on placement at the Liverpool Women's Hospital.
Yep.
So we're looking currently at every admission of a neonatal infant during that period.
That must be thousands of babies.
It's over 4,000 babies. It's unfair at this point to speculate on where that will go.
6 years after police began investigating the deaths of babies at this hospital, there are still unknowns. Who is Lucy Letby remains easier to answer than why she did what she did.
Evil. Evil.
I would describe her as a person as being beige. She was unremarkable as a nurse. She had a normal friendship group, a family. She had a normal social life, everything you would expect somebody in their 20s to do. She was operating in plain sight because she was so normal.
Look at her.
I think it's so hard.
Look at her. There she is, y'all. There's the demon. That's the demon right there. Demons all around her.
To fathom how somebody in such a position of trust could
That's crazy.
commit these offences. The question of why is almost it's too difficult to even, there isn't anything that's reasonable. There is no reasonable explanation, and I don't think I'll ever understand or accept why.
This trial is believed to have been the longest murder trial in British legal history. The jury deliberated for more than 100 hours, and in fact, the verdicts have been coming back over a number of days now. We couldn't report them because of restrictions imposed by the judge until the final verdicts reached by this jury had been returned. And I was watching Lucy Letby for any reaction as those verdicts came back.
Nothing, I bet.
As some were read out, she cried. On another occasion, she was looking down. There seemed to be no emotion. And then after that, she started to refuse to come to court. We heard from one of the parents in my report there saying that there does need to be a public inquiry. An inquiry has been announced today.
How can you refuse to come to court? See, that's that UK stuff right there. And there goes my baby just waking up. Come here. You're supposed to lay down. You're supposed to be asleep, baby. All right. Say hi. Oh my goodness, let me put her back to sleep. Be right back with this recording. All right, we're back. Let's go get back into it.
But not a public inquiry, meaning it wouldn't have the same legal powers. It couldn't compel witnesses to give evidence. And some do see that as a problem in terms of both answers and accountability.
Claire Fallon. Well, by the time police were called in by the hospital, senior doctors had been raising concerns for well over a year.
Bro, shave your head, bro. Bro, look at your hair, buddy. Shave that shit off. Look like a newborn chicken. What's going on here? What's that? Hey, bro, shave.
And there had been several reviews into what they were calling a cluster of deaths. By the end of June 2015, an association between Lucy Letby and the death of 3 babies had been identified. Soon after, that link was raised in a meeting with a hospital executive. In February 2016, a specialist from another hospital was brought in to carry out a review. The deaths of 2 identical triplets in June 2016 were described as exceptional and unexplained when investigated internally. Lucy Letby was the common factor again. She was moved to a desk job. And the neonatal unit was downgraded, meaning they no longer cared for the most at-risk babies. The hospital ordered 2 more independent reviews before finally police were asked to investigate in May 2017. Well, ministers have ordered an independent inquiry into the circumstances behind Letby's crimes, including the way concerns were raised by hospital staff were handled.
This is one of the really shocking things that happened is, as you say, that doctors repeatedly raised their concerns and that didn't lead to the action being taken that you would have expected. This is one of the things that clearly the inquiry, I think, should look into.
Well, the City of Chester MP, Samantha Dixon, joins me now. Each one of these deaths was treated as a tragedy at the time, and they would have had a terrible impact at the time that they happened. What do you think will now be the impact as the community realises that these weren't just tragedies, these were deliberate murders from a serial killer?
I think they would share the grief of the families that are involved. I think that the decision to harm a child is one of the most depraved acts that somebody can commit, and to actually kill a child is unimaginable. And I think that most people in this city will actually be standing alongside these families in their grief and their sorrow.
And I'm sure that will be nationwide, but what people have also discovered today is the background to this and what happened as doctors tried to raise the alarm with the hospital management. What do you make of what you've heard today, and what do you think the people who are supposed to be served by that hospital will think?
Well, as soon as the verdicts came in this afternoon, I wrote to the Secretary of State, Steve Barclay, and requested a full, independent and public inquiry into the circumstances around Letby's crimes. I'm pleased that he's replied to me. He's issued a statement.
Matt.
Well, speaking outside court today, Cheshire Constabulary paid tribute to the exceptional strength shown by families during the investigation and read a statement on their behalf.
This has been a long and emotional journey for all of the families involved in this case. I speak on behalf of the entire prosecution team when I say that all of their babies will forever be in our hearts. I would like to thank all of the families in this case for their exceptional resilience and strength throughout this entire investigation. Their composure and their dignity during this trial has been truly overwhelming.
Nurse.
I cannot begin to imagine how...
And to get the results of everything that went down, we're going to go here.
Lucy Letby will spend the rest of her life behind bars for murdering 7 newborn babies and trying to kill another 6. The judge ordered on Monday. She's Britain's most prolific serial child killer in modern times. The 33-year-old murdered the 5 baby boys and 2 baby girls at the neonatal unit of County.
Life. Let's watch it get handed down to her.
On each of the 7 offences of murder and the 7 offences of attempted murder, I sentence you to imprisonment for life. Because the seriousness of your offences is exceptionally high, I direct that the early release provisions do not apply. The order of the court, therefore,
no parole,
is a whole life order on each and every offence, and you will spend the rest of your life in prison. The defendant, Lucy Letby, has refused to attend court for this sentence hearing.
How could you refuse to attend court, bro? This in America, they would have shackled you, bound your mouth so you can't talk, opened your eyes so you could see it and hear everything, and locked you to that chair up in that courtroom. What the heck?
I have to sentence her in this hearing. Accordingly, I have to sentence her in her absence. This was a cruel, calculated, and cynical campaign of child murder involving the smallest and most vulnerable of children, knowing that your actions were causing significant physical suffering and would cause untold mental suffering. It is no part of my function to reach conclusions as to the underlying reason or reasons for your actions, nor could I, for they are known only to you.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. That is who Lucy Letby is. Lucy Letby is a trash person. She is evil. She's the personification of Satan himself. And she will be in jail for the rest of her life. And knowing how weak she is, she might be trying to off herself. But not hopefully before the broomsticks come out and show her the penetration that she deserves. I do not sympathize at all with this person, the person's family, nor the hospital. I believe that the hospital is just as guilty. However much that hospital's worth, give it all to the families. Tear down that hospital, turn it into a mausoleum for all I care. But they should not be doing practices at that hospital anymore. This was a members' choice video for members of Jody's Corner. Click the join button down below to support my channel. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I'm Jody Joe, and I'm out. Deuces.